You know, we'd all love to experience more peace in our lives, but often I see a lot of people who are blocking their own ability to create peace in their life. I've been talking to a lot of people about the pathway to inner peace over the last few weeks and months. And one of the things I find over and over and over again is that people are actually doing things that are sabotaging their own ability to find peace in their lives. And they're blaming everything outside of themselves for their lack of peace. Today, I want to share with you 5 ways that you could be sabotaging your own attempts at finding inner peace in your life and what you can do to turn it around and create some success in your life. Let's dive in and get started. Hey everybody, this is James. Welcome back to the Serenity Journey. I teach the 5 pathways to inner peace. And today, I wanted to talk about 5 things that people do to block their inner peace. This is something a lot of people are struggling with in the world right now. There's a lot of people that are trying to find peace within themselves. They're trying to find peace in the world that they live in, but they're actually blocking themselves from getting it. It's right there for you. And I did this for years. Every one of these I'm going to share with you today, I have done myself for years. And I'm 45 years old now, and I'm like just now kind of getting to this place where I'm finally being at peace with myself. And part of it's because each one of these things are struggles that I've had to learn through as I've gone through my life. So this is something that I want you to understand, that you're not alone if you're feeling this way, if you're doing these things. This is not to disparage anybody. This is to let you highlight some things that you need to look at within yourself so that you can work on doing the things you need to do to have more peace in your life. Like I said, I did all 5 of these myself. I still do them from time to time, but I'm much better at them now than I used to be. And that's the key to growing and trip. Before we dive in, let's define what peace is really quick. Now, to go more in depth, check out this video right here where I talked about what is serenity, which is where we started talking about the serenity prayer, finding your own pathway to inner peace. But basically, peace is a sense of calm, and it's a sense of full alignment within yourself. You find that when you get to a place of peace, you're in a place of love and compassion, and you're feeling peaceful with yourself, and there's a complete absence of inner turmoil. And this comes from finding alignment with your spirit. If you study the law of attraction, if you study Abraham Hicks or any of the great law of attraction, they're always talking about finding alignment with spirit, finding alignment with source energy. That's what this peace is. This peace is really finding your full alignment with source energy, with your inner being, and being able to live your life from that place of alignment. When you find this peace in your life, you're able to manifest more, you're able to create the life that you want, and you're able to make decisions that are in your best interest instead of other people's. And we're going to dive into that here in just a few minutes, a little bit deeper. So stay tuned to the end of this video so we can dive into that one just a little bit. Now, one of the things that we have to realize is that almost all sabotaging efforts are self-sabotaging efforts. One of the biggest lessons I had to learn in life was every experience I've had in my life, positive and negative, I had to own it all. I had to accept full responsibility for those experiences. That doesn't mean that the abuse that I was going out asking to be abused by my stepmom. No, that's not what I'm talking about. It's not about victim shaming. And trust me, I have been the victim in a lot of circumstances in my life. So I'm not here to shame anybody that has been through victim mentality. But you also have to realize that in every situation that I was ever the victim, I was also made choices that put myself into that position. And this is what I'm talking about owning it all. I made choices that put me there. And it was a consequence. We live in a reaping and sowing world. And so I was reaping what I was sowing, not intentionally. It wasn't about my intentions, because at the time I was living unintentionally, and that was one of the things I had to learn through those experiences. But the thing is that most people are blaming other things outside of themselves, and we're stuck in this rut of victim mentality. In fact, that's one of the first blocks of success. As long as you're playing the victim, you will never find peace. As long as you are blaming everyone outside of yourself for your lack of success. Every time you blame something outside of yourself for your lack of patience, for your lack of anything, lack of money, lack of time, lack of anything, anytime you blame is one of the biggest blocks to peace. Because blame denies your own responsibility for the situation that you're in. And it's that victim mentality. Blame is all about being a victim. And so you have to break free of the victim mentality and realize that if you want to be empowered, now I'm not saying that everybody has to do it. I'm not saying that you don't have a right to blame. That doesn't mean that somebody else may not have some responsibility in the situation. But when you take full responsibility for your part to play in the life that you've lived, it frees you up. And this is one of the biggest things that I had to go through in the last year is, as I've been doing this, one of the things that we talk about a lot is your past experiences and reframing your past. It's a lot of what I've been doing in the last year myself, is going through some of my past experiences where I was still playing this victim card, and started reframing and rephrasing my experiences and my relationship to those experiences so that I was no longer a victim to them now, and they were not taking away my peace in the moment because of something that happened years ago. So that's one of the things. Stop playing the victim. Stop being a victim of yourself, of other people, and let go and stop using blame to decide that you're not responsible. You have to own every single thing in your life that you don't like. The second block to inner peace that a lot of people struggle with, and that I struggle with, is your expectations of outcomes. Every time you fall into worry, to doubt, to fear of what may or may not happen, you're using your imagination to create a negative outcome in the future. Your inner being only knows peace and love. So if you're experiencing doubt and love, that means you're out of alignment with your inner being, with your spirit. So anything that takes you into fear consciousness, that takes you into worry, doubt, shame, blame, any of those negative emotions, that takes you out of alignment with your own inner being. So of course, worry, expectations of a negative outcome. And most of those negative expectations, we go back to the first one, which is why it was the first one, is because you are expecting your future outcome based on your past experiences. That's why we have to work through embracing the past and changing and reframing how we look at our past. Because our expectations of the future often come from how we look at our past experiences. So we have to reframe those experiences from the past, and now we have to start looking ahead and looking at the future in a different way. Start creating positive intentions, positive expectations for the future. When we start doing this in our mind, we start creating a more positive expectation, we can shift that. We let go of the need to worry. We let go of the need to blame. We let go of all of those things that keep us locked in fear. I see a lot of people, they're like, well, you don't worry, so you don't care. And that's absolutely not true. In fact, the more I care, the less I allow myself to worry. Because worry is fear. Caring is love. They are two completely different energies and different emotions. So you have to worry if you really want to care and be the ultimate person that you can be able to make decisions quickly, being able to do the things that you need to be, being able to go with the flow of life. You have to get out of worry. Now, that doesn't mean I don't ever worry. I do have moments where I fall back into worry, but I've been working actively on worry in my life for about 10 years now. And ever since I first started working on it, one of the things I found is the less I worry, the better things get. The most worry is just your imagination creating a potential negative outcome. And if you think about it, if you really, really look back at your life, 90% of the stuff you ever worried about never actually happened. So this is one of the things you have to start getting through your head, is get out of your own head, get out of your own way, and stop creating negative expectations for the future, because that's all worry is a negative expectation in your imagination for a future outcome. If you have no negative expectation of the future outcome, there's no place for worry to exist in your life. So let that go and you will find more peace. If you like this content and if you think that we're providing some value and helping you out, make sure you subscribe and use the social media icons and share it out with somebody that you think might be interested in learning how to get out of their own way and start finding their own inner peace. So the number 3 way that people are blocking their own peace is because they simply have no direction. They're just drifting through life. I did this for a long time in my life. I just drifted from one place to another. And this kind of left me open to other people being able to manipulate me, other people being able to use me, drifting from job to job to job that I always hated. I never felt comfortable. I never felt good at what I was doing. I never really made that much money. I worked hard, but I was just drifting through life. I had no clear goals and directions of my own. I didn't really listen to myself to figure out what direction my life was going. And I was not living in purpose. I was not living with my own purpose for being born. We all were born with a purpose. We all have an intention for coming here. We did not just randomly show up. We all came with a purpose. In fact, I just went to a live stream with my beautiful friend Meredith over at Soul Navigation, Tarot, and Astrology. You can check out her video right here where she goes through the North Node in astrology, which helps you to define what your life's purpose is and what you're here to do. And it's fascinating because as we went through this, and you see that she actually mentions me a couple of times because we were chatting. I was in the chat and I was mentioning things and she was reading things off of my chats. But one of the things that we found as we went through there is that my life's purpose that, she kind of directed us to is exactly what I'm working on right now with building this YouTube channel, with my blog, with my website. It's all about finding that purpose and finding that alignment. And astrology is kind of helping me to define and refine my experience of those things that I'm working on in my own life. So that's one of the big things that you want to do, is you start finding your purpose. Why were you born? What is it that you are here to do? What did you come from? What problems from your past did you bring into this lifetime that you wanted to resolve? And then also, what direction do you want to head, not only for yourself, but in a way that's going to serve the greater good of the world. When you find more purpose, when you find your alignment with your purpose, your inner being starts rejoicing. And you will have such a sense of peace within yourself that nobody will ever be able to dissuade you from living in that direction, because everything in your life will always be guiding you by that purpose. When you have purpose in your life, when you have a sense of purpose and you have a direction, you're going to make decisions that other people are not going to agree with, but you're going to make every decision based on, does this serve my purpose? Does this serve the greater good? Does this serve the reason God sent me to this place in the first place? And if the answer is no, then the answer to the decision is no. And if the answer is yes, then the answer is yes. Every decision you're going to make is going to start getting weighed in, does this bring me closer or away from my purpose? This is a huge, huge shift in your consciousness, in the way of decision making, and in the way you think about who you are and your place in this greater world. So start getting in alignment with that purpose. All right, so number 4, the 4th block to your own inner peace is judgment. One of the things that I learned a long time ago is that judge not lest you be judged. And when we judge another person, when we judge ourselves, when we judge our experiences, that judgment takes us away from peace. So we have to get out of judgment if we want to find peace within ourselves. We have to get away from judging other people as being good or bad. I've come to the realization in my own experience, in my own life, that good and evil is a construct of man. It doesn't actually exist. Now, there's positive and negative energies. There's a polarization of energy. The problem is, this whole good and evil discussion is all about opinion. If you think about it, Do you think that Hitler went around telling everybody he was an evil person? No, he didn't. Does most of the world believe he was an evil person? Yes. But he didn't himself, and most of his followers didn't believe he was evil either. They're not going to say, oh yes, we're going to go do evil in the world. No, they thought they were doing the right thing. They thought they were doing good in the world by doing the things that they were doing. Now, I'm not here saying that I agree with him, but I'm saying we need to stop judging even people like that and judging what their actions as good or evil. Stop judging everything as being good or bad, because most of your judgments of good and bad is nothing but an ego-based opinion. And as long as you're living in judgment, you cannot get out of the lower emotions. All lower emotions come from judgment. All of them. If you think about it, you can't be angry at somebody without judging them. You cannot be blaming somebody without judgment. You cannot be worried about something without judgment. You cannot be any of the negative emotions. You can't even be depressed. You can't be pissed off. You can't be any of the negative emotions. You cannot be in those negative emotional states if you're not in judgment. So you have to let go of judgment, get into unconditional love and compassion, and that will help bring you into inner peace. This is something a lot of people don't get and a lot of people struggle with. When I started going through this myself and letting go of my judgment of other people in other situations and trying to define things as good or bad, my life got much more peaceful. And on the other side of that too, my manifestations of things started coming in a lot easier. So if you want to start manifesting more with the law of attraction, things like that, you might want to think about, finding more peace in your life and getting out of judgment. All right, so number 5, one of the biggest blocks to your own inner peace is when you're living your life to serve the desires of other people instead of finding your own inner guidance. One of the biggest blocks to your peace is denying your own inner guidance in favor of somebody else's opinion because they're more of an expert or they know better than you do. Every single time you do this, it will lead you wrong and will take you away from your own inner peace. Your inner guidance is your inner voice telling you what you were meant to do at this point in your life. And when you listen to that voice, you will have peace with yourself. If you listen to the other people, you might have peace with them and turmoil within yourself. I spent most of my life doing this, by the way. I spent most of my life living by society's rules, living by rules of other people who meant well, but everything that they told me, every piece of advice they gave me was clouded by their own agenda, by their outcomes that they desired for my life. I had spiritual teachers who were meaning well, and I loved them dearly. They're still some of my best friends on the planet, but they told me 20 years ago that this was the path my life was going to go on. And guess what? My life has not followed the path that they tried to lay down for me 20 years ago. I chose a different path than the one that they tried to tell me I had to take. And in fact, had I taken the path that they wanted me to, was it something I had the ability to do? Yes. Was it the right path for me? No, it wasn't. And I knew that inside my inner being. But I spent a long time learning that. I spent a long time giving in to other people and letting other people who I considered my authority figures, my elders, my teachers, society, being a bit ADHD and being a little bit crazy and all over the place, I was trying to be forced into this little box all through school, and I tried to forced to conform to society's way of thinking and way of being. One of the things I found is one of my ideas with my own ADHD. I think the reason so many people struggle with it is because they're still struggling to fit in with society despite their ADHD. And when you stop trying to fit in with society with your ADHD and you embrace your ADHD and embrace how different that makes you from everybody else, truly embrace it, and stop trying to conform to a society that your brain was not designed to fit into, you are going to find so much more peace with yourself. It's unimaginable. And you really won't care what anybody else thinks about you anymore once you do that. That's just my opinion on it. It's something I've found in my own experience. You can live your life however you want to. Again, All 5 of these are coming from my own personal experience, what I've learned in this journey on the pathway to inner peace. If you want to know more about how to walk this pathway to inner peace, finding peace within yourself, make sure you check out my ebook down in the description below, jamespruitt.com/true self. You can download my free guide that's going to walk you through the 5 pathways to inner peace, understanding the 4 aspects of your inner being and how they work together to create the peace that you live in your life. All right, so bonus tip here, we're going to add one last little one in here today. This is kind of the 6th one, but it's kind of overarches all of them. The core reason why people sabotage their own inner peace is because they're focused on things that they can't control. And they're not putting their time, attention, and effort into the things that they can control. So when you're setting your goals, when you're setting your intentions need to be focused on what you are doing, what you are manifesting, what you are creating, and what you desire in your life for yourself and what you can do. But stop trying to control everything outside of yourself. This is the number one key to getting into alignment and getting out of turmoil in your life, is to focus on the things you can control and to stop focusing your time, attention, effort, and energy on everything outside of you. Everyone else, what's other people doing, what are other things going, what conditions are going on in the government, what conditions are going on around you. This is probably the biggest block to your inner peace in your life. And if you want peace, you've got to get out of your own way. You've got to stop trying to control things that you can't control and focus on what you can control. This is what the Serenity Prayer is all about, which is why I call this the Serenity Journey, because this started with me going through the Serenity Prayer, which you can talk about right here. But the number one thing that you want to do right now to get more peace is to start focusing on you, not in a selfish way, but focusing on making the shifts within you to be the change you want to see in the world. Instead of trying to change the world outside of you, start changing your internal self. See, there's this law that's one of the principles of spiritual laws, which is the law of correspondence. And what it says is basically as within, so without, or as above, so below. What this means is your outer world and your view of the outer world is really a reflection of your inner world, what's going on inside of you. And so by focusing on what's going on inside of you instead of what's going on outside of you, you can find peace with yourself and stop trying to change everyone and everything outside of you. If you get a lot of value out of these tips and you haven't already, make sure you give us a thumbs up and check out this video right here where we talked about the 5 pathways to inner peace that are going to lead you to more success in your life. We'll see you in that video. Have a great day.